As a therapist and caregiver in the field of childhood sexual abuse for over 30 years, I've had the privilege and the adventure of being involved in many rescues, sometimes life and death. I want to tell you today about a rescue that was life and death. It's about a horse who was sexually abused. And that horse, I stole that horse. It started on January 1st, 2011 in Paulden, Arizona. My late wife, Carol, was standing in the dining room looking at the neighbor's property. We had watched these horses for several days. They were starving to death. We'd talked with the sheriff's department. We'd talked with the livestock officer. We'd call organizations to see what could be done. I'd left messages, written messages for the homeowner. I called the homeowner's phone number and left a voice message. Said, please, this horse is dying. I understand you're going to put him down. Just sign him over to me. I'll have him looked at by a vet. We'll put him down if that's what needs to happen. And there'll be no expense to you. No response. Carol looked across there and she pointed, and I'd seen this look on her face before. She said, that horse is not going to make it. It's time to take him. It's a kind of voice and the kind of look on her face I'd seen before when we were going to do something on the edge. We were going to take some risks. Maybe we're going to push the limits of the law. Maybe we're going to do some sneaking around. Maybe we're going to send somebody to prison. And that evening, in a snowstorm in Paulden, Arizona, the neighbors' boys came over and started taking that panels, the pipe fencing around that horse. And I put a rope around his neck, sort of waded through the ankle-deep manure and mud. The wind was blowing the snow sideways, and I led this horse over to my house and discovered in the process from the boys that the horse's name was Sonny. I had a building over there that was enclosed on 3 sides. It had a roof on it. We set up the panels, put Sonny in there, and it was pitch dark by that time. And I went to the house, told Carol of our adventure, and we went to bed, unsure if Sonny was even going to make it through the night. In the morning, the storm had gone away. I passed through. The sky was gray. It was just after dawn. It was cold, almost freezing. And as I walked around the corner of the corral, I looked at Sonny. And I followed my intuition. I said, good morning. Good morning, my brother. And he was real slow, just standing very still. And I could see him for the first time up close in the sunlight. His pelvis stuck through the skin. He looked like a skeleton. He had his ribs showing. And he just stood there listlessly watching me. And I followed up with a question. I said, what is it? And he just stared at me. But then he moved very slowly. He put one hoof way out in front of him. Then he took his other front hoof, brought it way out in front of him too, and crossed him at the ankles. Then he pushed his butt back, and he bowed to me. And slowly came back up. And like you, I was awed. I was dumbfounded. But that's the way our relationship started. I called a vet, told him we had a problem. He'd heard about the horse. The story of these horses was, they were all in bad shape, but he was the worst. The problem was that a couple weeks prior to my stealing him, he's a stallion. He'd gotten out of his corral and he tried to mount a mare through the fence. And he had broken his penis. No doctor was called, no vet. He got no medical attention. It became infected. So he not only was emaciated and starving, he had a rampant infection in his body coming from that part of his anatomy. The vet said he'd be there in a day or so. I called the livestock officer and told him what the problem was. Well, he wasn't real pleased with that, but he listened, and he was gracious. He said he's going to have to let the owner know, and the owner might want to talk with the sheriff's department. I said, okay, I knew what we were doing, and we jumped into this. 2 days later, January 3rd, that was our wedding anniversary, the livestock officer brought a whole bunch of people together. The neighbors came over, they were witnesses. The vet was there talking to me about what the horse was going to need. And the owner of the horse showed up. It was a woman. She'd been hiding out in Prescott Valley somewhere and nobody could find her. She knew she was a very hated individual by a large number of people. The livestock officer was very articulate in bringing us all together, and he managed, after having a conversation with me and the neighbors, to bring me together with the owner of the horse and asked us to go over here and talk about the situation. Because what I knew was that if she would sign a handwritten piece of paper giving me possession of the horse, we were in no problem. But she was mentally unfit, and I've known some real weirdos in my time, but this mental illness broke new ground. She was convinced that he was worth $30,000 and the stud fee was going to be worth thousands. There was no guarantee he was going to live out the week. And if he did recover, he was never going to be a stud because he was going to need an operation to remove that part of his body. No idea how to solve these things. But what I know from working in the field of child abuse is that when you're in a righteous cause and you act with integrity, that things start to happen that you couldn't have imagined. That people come together that you didn't know were there. And you know that there's something divine going on when things happen that are beyond your imagination. You could not have designed something as fantastic. And things began to come together in that way. She signed a paper, and on our anniversary, I gave the ownership of Sonny the horse to Carol. She was in bed because she was very ill. We were going downhill financially, and we could see that in a few months we were going to be losing our home. So it was a tough time in our life. And here we had this horse and no money to take care of him. But somebody put a story on Facebook, and all of a sudden it took off. We started getting phone calls from all over Yavapai County, people wanting to bring supplies. How do we donate? There was a fund started at Warren's Hay. Feed was no problem. Hundreds of dollars came rushing in. I needed sheets to make bandages out of because I was going to have to care for his wounds and his infection. They came in by the box loads. People were driving from over by Wickenburg and Verde Valley to come over and deliver 2 or 3 bales of hay so we'd have feed. At Warren's feed, we had special grain because it had to have a special diet because he was starving to death, and if you just give him food, it'll kill him. So we had to go through a gradual progression to put some weight on him to get his health back. Again, we still didn't know how long he was going to last. The vet explained that I needed to soak that part of his body in Epsom salt solution every day. So I had a little bucket that I used the first time with a piece of rope that went around it this way, but somebody designed for me a very clever device that we ended up humorously calling the Sonny Soaker. And it was a flexible bladder that was fit within a cut-off leg of a pair of jeans. And it had a strap on each side like a seat belt. So I could put it on there, loop it over his rump, clip it together with a snap, pour the water in the bag, and he could stand there for 30 to 60 minutes and soak. I did that every day for 30 days, and then every other day for 30 days, and then every 3rd day, and then every 4th day. The vet came numerous times, and there was no charge. There were anonymous donations to his business to take care of Sonny. So I nursed Sonny with Carol's observation. Our neighbor would bring Carol out, sit her down in a lawn chair, and she'd watch while I worked with Sonny. Over a 7-month period, I soaked him 65 times. And then I put ointment on his abdomen and all the places he had lost hair and all the wounds that he had. And he got better and he got better. And we moved out of our home or into our little trailer, living a simple life. And I got a phone call from a rescue ranch here in town. They had taken care of his rehabilitation after he had his reconstructive surgery. He was gelded and they had removed his penis and he had some structures work done so he could stand and pee like a mare. You could no longer see the bones of his pelvis or his ribs. His coat was lush, his mane was long, as was his tail. He's a beautiful palomino that we didn't even know existed. And we went to the ranch because Melissa had called and said, it's time. For months, people have been asking me, what's going to happen with Sonny? I don't know. I said, my goal in taking care of him is that one day he'll run. He'll be able to run like a horse. So we were at the rescue place. Carol was standing there. I walked out into the arena, and I could see him come into the arena. And he stopped and looked at me. We hadn't seen each other in over a month. And then he started going a little faster. And he started trotting. And then he jumped. And he kicked with both hind legs into the air, like a bucking horse in a rodeo. And then he ran hard. And I watched him, and the tears were coming down my face. He ran hard, and then he stopped, and he jumped in the air, all 4 hooves off the ground. And I can still see that picture in my mind. And it felt like I was surrounded by all the people who had come together for this cause, and I said, Washti, all you horse rescuers, look what we have done. It has been an honor to share this with you. Many blessings to you all. Takwiyase.